Well, hello everyone, I'm UrielLocke, and this is Blade and Soul. I recently realized that they just released a new character class, so I decided I'd go make the new character class, which is a Warlock. So, that's fun. I actually have a Kung Fu Master as well in this game. Haven't really played it in a while, because I haven't really had the time, because I've been busy with other things, which I'm not going to get into right now, because there's so many things going on in my mind right now. But basically, this is a martial arts MMORPG, which kind of sort of borderlines on a fighter. Like, I want to say it plays like a fighting game. And yes, the character creation is very in-depth as well with this game, which is another thing that I like. The aspect of this game that I like the most, though, is the fact that you have the ability to collect costumes and basically wear whatever costume you want. And then you have these things called soul shields, which soul shields actually give you your perks. So instead of, like in World of Warcraft, you want this armor piece that gives you 10 to strength, 15 to crit, and then you have 7 to accuracy. Well, instead of that, you have this thing called a soul shield, where there's different pieces of it. It's like basically a pizza or a pie, and each one of these pieces actually adds different aspects of stats to your character, so you don't have to care about what you're wearing. If your character is wearing basically nothing, you're fine because you have your soul shields. If your character is wearing badass armor and looks awesome, you still don't matter because you still have those soul shields. Different soul shields give you different abilities, and within each area of the game, there are different soul shields. Now, with each area, there's also a little mini-boss type character where you have to beat that mini-boss and you get a certain number of weird stone things that you go and gamble with a weird spinny wheel thing. It's like the Wheel of Fortune, basically. And you get unlocks with the little gems that you get from beating the bosses. And with those gems, you have the possibility of getting new soul shields, new weapons, new costumes. It's one of those things that's kind of cool, but also kind of weird because you're gambling to do it. It actually took me quite a while to get the first boss's costume with my Kung Fu Master. Like, I didn't even realize that that was a thing. So one of my friends told me about it, who's in my guild, and I've been playing with him for a while, but he and I were playing, and he's like, "Oh, did you go get this yet?" I'm like, "No, you can do that?" He's like, "Yeah, go get this costume." So I went and I played for, oh, God knows how long. I want to say like 2 hours to actually get enough gems, or their little soul stone things, to go and spin the wheel to get the costume, the full costume, mind you. There's different parts to the costumes. There's normally a headpiece, a chest piece, and then with some of them, there's like a face piece, which the first boss that you actually fight or whatever, he has this weird little thing that he puts in front of your face. It's like a little Japanese kanji thing. But anyway, there's that. And the aspect of that being what it is, the costumes, it's just costumes. So you're not getting the stats from armor or a costume, you're getting the stats from the soul shields. So you can wear whatever you want as a character, which is cool. It does end up being kind of weird in the end because of that, but you have freedom to do that. The other aspect of things is the weapon. The weapon in general does end up being kind of wonky, in a sense, because you don't get new gear. You get old gear, and you break down old gear or someone else's weapon to upgrade your own. Now, you can't change the way that looks unless you end up getting a different skin for it. The weapon looks the same no matter how many times you upgrade it, unless you specifically change that. And I think when you hit level 20, the weapon actually does change what it looks like, but I don't really know because I haven't really hit that level of where I'm upgrading things yet. The other thing that's really fun about this game is the flying ability. It's actually technically a glide, but the movement in this game is something that I rather enjoy, because in most MMOs, when you're running, you are really, really slow. And in this game, it makes you feel like you're fast. It makes you feel like you're doing something. And with that, it's more intuitive, I guess, because it's the aesthetic of it, because a lot of MMOs you're like, oh, run, da, 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 da. It's like WoW running, like you're slow as all get out, and then you get on your mountain, you're like, da, 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 da. I'm riding a horse, yo, I'm faster now. In this, it's, oh, I'm walking kind of slow, oh, I'm kind of jogging, and that's if you're holding the W button down. Like if you're just pressing it, you're like, oh, I'm just kind of meandering, and then you hold it down, you're like, oh, I'm kind of jogging. Like if you look at my character right there, they're kind of jogging. And then when you go to the other area where you actually just hit shift and you're like, I'm just running, blah. And it's kind of funny because it's anime running. So you have like that anime run style thing going on, which for those of you that like anime, there you go. This is very anime-esque as well, which is something that I also like because I'm a big anime fan as well. I honestly wish that I had a better way to show you how beautiful this game is. The graphics in this game are actually really good for how old it is. I honestly did not expect this game to be this pretty. And I hope that it isn't all pixelated in the video because, oh, that pissed me off. Because I watched this, or when I was playing this video was pristine beautiful. And there's water textures and rock textures and all these things, and it's amazing watching this. And then the cutscenes are beautiful as well. It's a floating rock, yo. It's a floating rock with a waterfall. But the aspect of most of this starts with you're part of this martial arts school and somebody betrays you, which derp, people betray you. And then your master's arch nemesis comes back from the dead, ends up fighting your master and sacrificing himself to save you. Blah, 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 revenge. So it's basically a giant revenge story. And it is go from point A to point B. It's a theme park MMO, yes. But it doesn't play like a theme park MMO, in my opinion. Because in WoW, things get tedious. In WoW, things get really tedious. Same with EverQuest. Or, say, Star Trek Online, where you're like, oh, I gotta go do this. Yeah, Star Trek Online is a good game. So is WoW. So is EverQuest. But they just get repetitive to the point where it's kind of boring. And here, it's not as repetitive, in my opinion. It doesn't feel repetitive because there's so many other aesthetics of the game that are making you learn how to play the game. Because you can die in this game up against a little nobody. Because if you hit the wrong button or you don't block, you're taking damage and you can die. And that's another aspect I like about it as well, because the game is hard. The game has a learning curve, and if you don't keep up with the learning curve, you're gonna die a lot. And I honestly have to say, I've done some really stupid stuff playing this game with this character. I died like 4 or 5 times just doing stupid crap, trying to figure out how I could do it. And within this game, there's combos. And when you're doing combos, it's something that you have to learn. It's just like if you're playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or any of those, you learn the combos. And one of the things they do is they actually teach you some of these combos. And while you're learning the combos, I actually learned a lot of these combos before I even started learning the combos through tutorials. And after I actually got to that point where I learned how to actually do them within the tutorial, I was like, oh, that's how you do that all the time. Because I started doing stuff and I was like, what the heck? This isn't working every time. Why isn't this working every time? And now that I know through the tutorial, I actually can pull these moves off basically at the snap of a finger. And with those combos, it adds a little bit more depth to the game because it makes the game harder. And within that level of playability, in my opinion, the harder the game, the more invested people will get. And the more people will actually want to do more in this game. Which they just keep releasing content for this because this game has been over in Korea for years. So I'm totally amped for more content, even though I'm a low level right now. I think my highest level is actually a level 25, which would be my Kung Fu Master. But looking at everything, you have this aspect of the Soul Shields, which gives you the ability to look like however you want to look, whatever costume you want to wear. There's also different costumes that are, if you go into certain areas, you're going to be attacked because you're in the wrong area for this group of people. There's the Bamboo Guard, and then there's the... Oh, I can't even remember their names right now. There's the Death Adders and all those other things. But there's different groups of people and factions that fight each other. And when you put on one of these uniforms, you're part of that faction. And you automatically will have this other faction attack you, which adds more aspects to it. Then there's the PvP aspect, where you have a PvP outfit, where if you're wearing this PvP outfit, anybody can attack you from the other faction, so to speak. So within all these factions and aspects of changing your costume, which gives you different, in a sense, abilities, but not really. It gives you abilities in the aspect of you're going to do PvP or you're going to fight these random NPCs. Then there's the dungeons, which I've actually done a few of those as well, and those can get very hard, very fast. I think the first time I did my dungeon, I think I was going up against some weird scorpion thing, and I had my ass handed to me because I was a kung fu master and it was just me. And I walked in, I'm like, oh, hey, I could do this. I'm cool. I've done dungeons before, right? And it said single player dungeon. I'm like, dude, I could do this, no problem. Nope. I got my ass kicked because Scorpion is a bitch. I can't remember. I think his name's Pokey, honestly, in the game. I can't remember specifically, but I think it's Pokey. And it's one of the first dungeons in the game, and I'm like, Pokey, what? But there's a learning curve, and this learning curve is going to bring more people to the game that haven't played games that there's a learning curve for. And it's going to make it harder for people to, in a sense, reach out and play this game for those of you that are casual gamers. For those of you that are hardcore, you're going to love this to death. Like, I've been playing MMOs for a long time, and this right here is amazing. I absolutely loved WildStar when it came out, and it was hard, it was fresh, it was something that hit harder than anything I've ever played before, yet it wasn't that hard after a while. This game right here is continuously going to smack you upside the head. And each character class has a different learning curve. The Kung Fu Master is actually one of the hardest ones to actually learn. This character, the Warlock, I can actually, if I play this character without doing anything stupid, which I do all the time because I like doing stupid stuff to see if I can do it to make the game harder for myself. Because, you know, why not be dumb? This character is one of the easier characters I've actually played. I assume that the Elementalist is something that's kind of simple as well. Ranged characters in this game are going to be a little bit easier than the upfront characters. The Destroyer itself, I do believe, is kind of like a medium character to play. The Blade Master is actually kind of weird to play. I've actually created a Blade Master and played that for a little while, and it's kind of a technical class. It can be hard if you're not countering correctly and blocking, because blocking and countering in this game are the main key to keep yourself alive and not take as much damage in this game. Because with the countering and the blocking in this game, you can't... It's like a fighter in that aspect. If you're not blocking and countering, you're taking damage. And when you're taking damage, there's that one aspect of, oh, you're surrounded by 5 guys, you're dead if you don't block. And the cool thing about this game is I've actually been surrounded by 5 guys, and I've blocked all 5 guys, which thank God that happened. But with everyone trying to be new in the MMO genre, with everyone trying to, in a sense, copy World of Warcraft or be something close to World of Warcraft, this game is something that brings new life to the theme park-esque MMORPG. It's more technical, it's harder to play, it's more in-depth. There's more to play here than most MMOs because this game has so much to it. As I said, it's years old. It just came to the EU and North America recently. So when thinking about your next MMO that you're planning on playing, go test this out. If you like Kung Fu video games, if you like fighters, if you like MMOs, if you want something that's kind of fresh, beautiful, and fun to play, check it out. I'm UrielLocke. This is Blade and Soul, and keep watching, because you never know what I'm going to do next.